don't know if the internet is going to sustain this live because, oh my goodness. Hello, hello. I'm not sure how far we're gonna get because the internet is fighting progress on many things. But I wasn't live yesterday because, babes, I was on a plane. Okay, I was on a plane at 1:05 in the morning. It was only a 3 hour flight. Hey, Tamani, how are you, babes? And then you guys might be thinking short flights with children are better. No, no, no. Long flights are better because you can. Baby girl, is the baby here? How are you? Long flights are actually better with children, in my opinion, because they are. Hi, Kareen. They are. I'm good, thank you. I'm very tired, but I feel like I'm always very tired. But yeah, long flights are easier because I think you can get to keep the same rhythm that you would keep on the ground in the air. Whereas when you have short flights, then you can't like really get into a rhythm because by the time you get on the plane, you have to come off the plane. You know what I mean? And certainly not short flights at 1 o'clock in the morning. Cassie, thank you very much, my darling. I once went to get my teeth whitened, and the dentist said there was no point because they were already too white. I just got blessed. um, so yeah, so flight at 1 o'clock in the morning wasn't fun. I was debating whether to put the girls to bed or not because we needed to leave the house by 9:30. I voted put them to bed. I managed to get them to bed in at 7, which was their old bedtime because they know they go to bed at 8 o'clock. So at least they got a little bit of sleep. But yeah, it wasn't great. One of my babies does not like to be woken up more than the other, but she managed to soldier on through and we made it safe and sound at our new destination. This destination was very impromptu. It was me looking at the map, realizing that I wanted to go to a particular place, then I'd have to stop in another place. And I was like, instead of doing a long connection, because I'm not really here for the long connections, let's just stop in this country because I've not been here before. And then I was like, what a privilege. As much as I'm stressed and miserable and all the things, and I don't like booking flights because they're too expensive, again, I feel blessed that that is even an option, right? Oh, it's not a dress, babe, it's a top. I got it years and years and years ago from Tory Burch. They gave it to me. I did a joint campaign with them. I don't even know why they wanted me to do this campaign actually. It was like then I was not on social media at all. It was just a campaign about my restaurant at the time. And so I got this, I got some shoes, I got some other clothes. And clearly the quality is good because I'm still rocking it, babes. Just scrolling through. Baby girl, I need an update. Okay, my darling. I feel like I missed someone's message. Do I think marriage is worth it? I love love, babes. I do love love. And I know there's a lot of negativity going around marriages and relationships and all of those things, but I think it can absolutely be worth it. Oh, Baba, she was born on Monday. Congratulations, babes. How are you feeling? I'm so excited for you. I don't even know you. I'm so excited. I do think that we take childbirth for granted. Everybody big up baby girl. She just had a baby on Monday. Where are the kids' dad? I don't know, baby. When you find him, you can let me know. Um, Thank you. So yeah, oh, I've also upset the internet. You know, every so often I upset the internet, and honestly, I never intend to. Like, I don't even see this coming, and yet other people watch like these videos and they're like, "How can you not see that that was going to be controversial?" I think sometimes I live in my own little world, in my own little mind, and to me, things aren't controversial, yet the rest of the world thinks that they are. So basically, I don't know why TikTok doesn't love me, but it's not been showing any love in terms of reach. But there's a video that I posted, and it starts off by explaining that there's a weird dynamic in the Philippines with these old, half dead looking men, and they are, you know, picking up these very young looking women. I'm not saying that they're girls, but they look very young. And I'm just like, it's a bit strange. It was an observation. And then I was saying in the same video, I said, perhaps I'm judging through the wrong lens. And it was a genuine point of the fact that I can be used to something in my culture, and then when I see other things it can seem strange. But I was like, you know, the women, as long as they're happy, they're being treated well, maybe there's nothing wrong with it. But ultimately there's a weird power dynamic that seems to be taking place. There's definitely a money dynamic. It just seems like it's a layered situation, right? And then everyone is like, oh, this is a problem around the world. Okay, I've been traveling around the world, and yes, you may see one or two people in a few scenarios. However, that certainly is not like the same level. I think people are not understanding the scale at which I was observing this in the Philippines. And then people are like that I was putting down Filipino women. I was so confused. I was not even saying anything about these women. I was just like, is this a problem or is it not a problem? Anyway, the point is, Instagram went crazy. I've been told that I'm an NIGGA that got off the plantation. The racists have come out in full force. And I'm like, first of all, if you do not think that you're an old man with saggy balls, then why are you offended? Like, why are you offended? Why are you so defensive? Like, if you don't think that my description of these men applies to you, then why do you care? Like, if your balls are good and it doesn't apply, then I just don't understand, right? Then in the video, I explained that these people seem to be coming to the Philippines and they seem to be all of a sudden acquiring a bigger penis. And the reference I was making was that there's a bravado, right? There are certain kinds of men that when they travel and they travel to particular areas where they feel that maybe their foreign currency is going further, or maybe they are the prize, that all of a sudden there's a like energy that I don't really understand. And again, if your dick size has not changed on the flight, then why would you be offended? People were like, oh, why did you have to bring up the penis size? I was like, I was referring to an energy. An example of this is, I remember one of the first times I went to Dubai and I was eating at Atlantis. I went to Dubai by myself. I went to meet a friend who happened to be in Sharjah, which is nowhere near Dubai. So that was a little bit of an issue. But anyway, I wanted to go to the brunch at Atlantis. If you know me, you know I love to eat. So I go to the brunch at Atlantis by myself in a really nice, long, flowy white maxi dress. You guys know I love a maxi dress, right? And so I'm sitting and there's a group of men, of British, English men, whatever, at a table near to me, and there's about 5 or 6 of them, and I can see that they are talking about the fact that I'm by myself. I can see it, I can hear it, I can feel it, right? Again, I just continue on my little mimosas, living my best life. And then one of them sits down at my table. He sits at my table without my permission, and just sit down in the empty seat. And I said to him, why would you do that? He said, well, it was empty. I said, so because there's an empty seat at my table, you think you have the right to sit at it? And he had the big dig energy, right? Like, I've come to Dubai. This was when there was a really big hype about Dubai too, right? So he's come to Dubai, he's an expat in Dubai, and he all of a sudden thought that he was like the chosen one. At which point I asked him to leave the table. He then said, why was I carrying on like that? Like, all of a sudden this roadman energy came. And because it's my table, babes. I have chosen to eat by myself, and you have taken it upon yourself to sit down at the table, but I don't want you at the table. And then he was like, well, there's no need to go on like that. Like, do you think you're nice? I was like, hold on. Who came to the table? You must have thought there was something to come to the table for. I did not call you over, and now you're telling me that I must think that I'm too nice. Well, babes, you thought I was nice because you come sit down on the table. At which point, I had to explain to him, my darling, you cannot think that your dick has got that big because you came from London to Dubai. You would never speak to me in London, and you would never sit at my table with this energy as if I owe you anything. But somehow you have arrived in Dubai and thought that I would think that you are now desirable. You are the same person and your penis is the same size. So go back over there, so. Needless to say, he wasn't very pleased with my explanation. But the point I'm making is that, yes, I appreciate that men carry on in this way in other parts of the world. I appreciate that there is an issue with, older men and young girls and young women, girls, whatever. I appreciate that this is not a Filipino issue. However, to deny that there is something going on in the Philippines at scale is crazy to me. And I didn't think that that was offending anybody. I did not think that that was deeply controversial. People are like, why do you care? It's not your problem. Hold on. So if you see Liquor Pickney being recruited by men as a human being, you shouldn't comment on it. You shouldn't be concerned. You shouldn't Just ask the question if it is a problem. I didn't even say what about. I said, is this a problem? Why are we not speaking about it? Anyway, needless to say, I've lost followers because apparently I don't want old saggy balls men with little people, and apparently that makes me a bad person. And I'm like, if you, someone even wrote an epistle, they were like, oh, I'm definitely unfollowing you now. Okay, babes. Okay, if you think that this behavior is appropriate and me asking the question, then you should never follow me from the beginning because I'm not the one. Like, I'm not the one. It's cool. People say this thing, oh, I'm going to unfollow you now. Yes, yes. I want women to not feel that they must enter a relationship because they are poor and need the financial support. Yes, that's what I want. And also, I do not want my children to be around these dynamics and think it is normal. No, I don't want them to see a 12-year-old looking person with a man with a walking stick. No, and that's cool. It's so bizarre. Anyway, I'm going to your comments because I'll just talk about your life and then we'll just be here on flipping story after story after story. What are we saying? You in the gym now? As in now? You know what? I'd love to go back to the gym. Babes, I have not been to a gym from before I had children. So that is over 6 years. A gym has not seen me. You need me in Jamaica? Babes, I'll let you in on a little secret, okay? I've booked my flight. The flight is booked to Jamaica. I'm very excited. Can you tell I'm very excited? I'm excited. The children, I'm not going to tell you when, because that's a little bit too much information for the internet, but the internet can know that the flight is booked, babes. The flight is booked. Why you need me in Jamaica? Celine, big up yourself, baby. Khadija, I don't know which part you're laughing, but I'm glad that you're laughing. Honestly, I didn't see the video. Right? You saw the video. How are people saying it's controversial? It hasn't done much on here, but on what's it name? On Instagram, it's like 70,000 people. Most of the people telling me that I am all kinds of things. Okay, I send some of them to the fam chat because I find it funny when people insult me. I don't know why I find it so funny. People are like, I don't know how you deal with it. I find it genuinely hilarious. I find it hilarious that strangers can get so riled up. I just find it funny. Maybe it's like a weird twisted thing. Malika, thank you very much for being so nice, my darling. Khadija, they use pee pumps. Ooh, I didn't know there was a thing. Is that a thing? Babes, I'm so sheltered and so out of this world. It's so funny. It does sound like that, babes. Clay, I don't know if you're crying, laughing, I don't know what's going on. Rainwater, big up yourself, babes. No, I'm not a World Cup fan. I'll be honest with you. Last time I was into the World Cup, it was like the days of Ronaldinho. That tells you how old I am. But Brazil was the vibe, and I haven't really been into World Cup since. It was cool to see all the black people who play for France win, but at the same time, I'm like, do you really want to play for France and be black? I'm not sure. Again, I'm not trying to get too political, but hey ho. No one will explain this better than you. Babes, pick up yourself. Justine, sorry. I'm glad that you find me funny. I was thinking today, like, a lot of people say that I'm funny in conversation, but I was thinking stand-up comedy is definitely underrated. It is so underrated. Like, imagine, like, it's one thing to tell a story and be funny and, like, have back and forth humor in a conversation, but just to stand up in front of people and make people laugh, I think it is really underrated. On the plus side, it's going to be hard, I think, for AI to take that kind of job, right? Because what we're going to do, you go and, like, watch someone on a screen. I don't really see it happening. Okay, coming to your video, your comments on YouTube. Thank you, Crumb Coco. I'm glad that you love watching videos. I'm not very good at posting videos on YouTube. I'm trying to get better. Just say a prayer for me. Hey, April, the last time I asked my question, your battery died. So the live ended. Oh no. Telling me about your journey of opening restaurants despite not going to culinary school, like how you learned and what inspired the idea, what was the process like. You said that you don't recommend it, but I'm really, really determined to start up and I'm very inspired by you. Zahara, I hope I've said that. Oh no, Zara. Not, you don't pronounce the H right. Babes, I hope I've said that right. Although I do not, are you wearing an Indian dress? So this, I believe, was inspired by India, right? A lot of fashion, by the way, is inspired by India. I've had it for many, many years. Look at the detail. Many years, and it is still holding strong. I just really like it. I'm really into clothes. I digress, Sarah, but I'm coming back to you, I promise. I am really into clothes that cover you, but still make you feel good. You know, I am old, guys. Oh, that's another thing. All of these people on the post where I talked about the old man with a young girl, they're like, I'm jealous of the Filipino women because I have passed my sell by date, and no, I am jealous that I'm not getting attention from men. And again, I think the reason why these comments make me laugh so much is because they're so not true. I feel like if anybody knows me, right? So I was Miss Jamaica Universe many years ago, which they went and dug up, by the way. These trolls are serious. They do their homework, right? So they're like, you were Miss Jamaica so many years ago, and you're just jealous that no one pays attention to you anymore. And I'm like, hold on. First of all, I actually think people pay attention to me more now. So just for reference, I was Miss Jamaica when I was 19. I'm 37. I have no issue talking about age because I don't have an issue with aging. But I actually think that people consider me more attractive now than they did when I was 19, which I find quite interesting. But the point is, I like clothing that, let's also be honest, I'm very flat chested and I'm very flat on the behind, right? Like, I just was not blessed with voluptuousness. That is not my asset. That is not what I bring to the table. Luckily, baby, I'm nearly 6 foot tall, okay? I'm 5'11" and 3/4. Because if I was short, I'd probably just look like an 8-year-old boy. But because I'm tall, babes, this is model-esque, okay? So the point is that when it comes to clothing and like dressing myself, I like things that everything's not out. And so like this kind of high neck, I'm into a high neck and I have a long neck, right? I look a little bit like a giraffe. So I like a tall neck. I like a little bedazzle vibe. I like shit that is timeless. Like, as I said, I've been wearing this for years and I just don't think you're like, oh, that's not the season. Babes, I'm not that trendy. You are from which country? Babes, I'm from the best island in the world, okay? I'm from Jamaica. If that offends you, I'm very sorry. We can't be friends. Okay, I'm gonna come back to your restaurant question, I promise. I'm going to quickly come back over to TikTok and answer those questions. It's just that your question, babe, is a long answer. Okay? You're right to question it. You felt concerned and your voice. Right, Rainwater? I think it is concerning. Why do people announce their departure? It's very strange. Especially if you and I, like, there are certain people on these apps that I feel like we're besties, right? You know, baby girl comes up in my life nearly all the time and she's always snuck up in there. She has something else to do. So there's like a vibe. So like I feel like I know her, right? I know her even though I don't know her. Okay. There are people that comment and that show love and we have a vibe. Okay. Of course, if you guys are leaving, I'd like to know. However, the dege people that women don't know, them can just go on, right? Like, you don't need to tell me. I don't even know you. You didn't do a damn thing wrong. Thank you very much for understanding the vibe. Cassiopeia, I'm not even sure what was well said, but I'm glad that you like it. I would have never thought. I did not think that it was controversial. Thank you so much for agreeing with me because sometimes I'm like, what is going on? Vonnie Bun, thank you for loving the shorts, babes. I need to get better at long form. And I have so much things for you, but also, I'll be honest with you guys, I've had internet issues. Like, I uploaded 2 videos today on Instagram. It took me over 2 hours. And when it takes so long to do everything, it just fight in progress. It's really fight in progress. Tori, thank you very much. Welcome to the live, babe. I try and do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yesterday I was on a plane, so it never happened. Today it nearly never happened because I'm tired, but I'm dedicated. I'm down for the cause. I'm committed to my people, okay? I was in a group and saw that going on. I wanted to say something, but you kept your mouth shut. As when you say you saw it going on, what? Google, babes. I'm going to infinity because I can't pronounce the first part. You saw what going on? The video about the Filipino, not my video. You did not see my video in a group. What is your opinion on pistachio nuts? My girls are loving pistachios right now, but babes, why are they so expensive? That is my opinion. Why are pistachios so expensive? They were Muslims about the group, which, as in the group with the video, babe, you need to give me more context. I'm late to the party. Why are people unfollowing you? Tony, babes, they're unfollowing me because I expressed some concern that in the Philippines, there are a lot of old men with very young, maybe women, maybe children. And I was just saying, is this a problem? I was asking the question. I literally said, am I judging through the wrong lens? Right? Because I did speak with some people locally and they explained that for many of those young women, that is their ability to provide for their families, to provide for their provinces. And they were explaining that the women are empowered in their choosing of these Western men. And I was like, I never thought of it that way. I always thought it was more of them being selected and preyed upon. And so I thought that was an interesting point of view, which I say in the video. And basically, I was just trying to have a healthy debate. And I think I offended a few men and their small, shrinkly balls, basically. How did you decide to teach your girls? What curriculum do you, how do I decide what to teach them? Really great question. So I don't follow a particular curriculum. I use workbooks, but I also really believe in just learning all the time, if that makes sense. And I focus on numeracy, literacy, and social skills. Obviously, we have a little bit of art going on. I believe in sport, so they were doing gymnastics, but unfortunately they've had to stop gymnastics because we were traveling. In terms of how I choose what I do in terms of home education or homeschooling, it is really around what I want my children to learn, but also who I want them to be. I start there and then I work my way back. Coming through, oh Lord. I just love your accent. Thank you very much, babes. The accent is so confused. So when everybody likes it, it puts me at ease. Your energy and authenticity comes through online. Thank you very much, my darling. This lady actually, she did a video and she was talking about authenticity, and she was saying that the reason why she follows me is because she feels like there is an authentic vibe. And I'm like, you know what, babe? That is like the biggest compliment ever. Because ultimately, you know, we cannot control how people receive us. And honestly, long ago, I think from probably Miss Jamaica days, like 19, I realized that I could say something and I could have this intention, right? Let's call the intention X. And you can receive it because you may have been through something, you may have had an experience with another individual, the topic might be sensitive to you, whatever. You have your own life, right? And you receive X, and when it receives to you, it becomes Z. And I learned so long ago that I don't have any control between the way it leaves me and the way it lands. And the only thing I can do is just be the vibe, like be my version of myself. Because if you then start thinking, how are you being received and how are people perceiving you and blah, 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 the voices must be maddening. Like when people ask me a lot of times, they say, oh, but your children aren't going to fit in. And I'm like, I don't want them to have that as a priority. Can you imagine moving through the world and constantly worrying about how are people thinking of you? How are they going to receive you? How are you going to fit in? I just don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's healthy. I'm with you. The playing for France thing, only propped up for athletic prowess on the otherwise hated. That is honestly how I feel. Like if I had a child, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate the financial remuneration from playing for these big Western countries. I'm not trying to deny that. I'm not trying to turn my nose up at money at all. However, if I had a son and he was playing for like England instead of Jamaica, and remember, said Jamaica don't even reach the World Cup, you know, I would be disappointed. I would be disappointed. I mean, you can still play at club level and still make the money, right? But I'm talking like national pride. I'd be like, babes, really? When they're telling us to go back to where we come from, you sure? When they're throwing bananas on the pitch, I'm just like, I'm not so sure. Not so sure. Please do more cooking recipes. You know, I used to do lots more cooking recipes. I will get on the cooking. Miss April, as a young woman, wanted to start a business. Where does one get the funds to start one? Rainwater, big up yourself on this question. And it might actually come back to Zara's inquiry. So I am always super honest about how I opened my first restaurant when it comes to money, because people have come to me and asked me, how do you get investment, etc. So my first restaurant was in Brixton in London. I don't know how many people are here from England, but anyway. And the plan, I applied for The Apprentice, which is a TV show in the UK. I applied for that show from England. Sorry, from Jamaica. So I was living in Jamaica. I applied for the show. I have dual citizenship, so I'm able to apply. And I knew I was going to be selected, long story. But the point is that I applied for that show specifically because I wanted to open a restaurant in England, and I felt that that was going to be really strong from a PR perspective. So I opened my first restaurant the day before my last episode on The Apprentice. And I never had to pay for PR in that way because people were just writing about me being on the show and then obviously the restaurant. The point is, the first restaurant I opened was an office, and to remodel that office and open, I had £75,000 that my dad gave me. I'm very open about the fact that my dad gave me my startup capital. I would not know where to go, how to get it, especially because I had zero experience in hospitality. So the idea that a stranger or a VC firm or anything is going to give me money when I have no experience, I have no track record, I just have a dream, it wouldn't happen. Nobody would give me the money. I wouldn't give me the money if I was asking. Even when my dad agreed to give me the money, I said to him, what do we do if the whole thing fails and I've just lost the money? And he was like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I've always said that my dad giving me permission to fail is 100% the only reason why I was able to open my business, because he didn't put this pressure on, you need to do this, you need to do that. He didn't kind of even acknowledge the fear, right? It was dismissed as, don't even think about it, just do what you need to do. And so that's how I got the funds. And I'm always super honest about it, because I think that sometimes when we see entrepreneurs or we see entrepreneurship, they're spoken about as completely risk averse. And I did a video about this the other day talking about my privileges and the fact that I don't believe that whatever privileges you have take away from the thing that you're achieving. And it kind of, I only had this realization a couple of weeks ago, because I used to feel really guilty, for example, that my dad had helped me start my business. I was like, oh, you know, I'm not as good as if I had to busk on the street or something in order to get my startup capital. And then I realized that other people's parents might give them £75,000, but they may not create 2 restaurants out of it and, you know, be in hospitality for 10 years and end up using that as a launch pad for other things. They might just take their parents' money and completely fail, right? My second restaurant, I didn't have to get the money from my dad because I'd made enough money from my first restaurant. And so like, these are the things. So that's from the money perspective. In terms of where would you get the money, I would say that whatever business you're doing, if you're trying to get money for your business, make sure that your business is scalable. The average person who has capital to give wants to see very easily how they're going to get a return on that investment. So start small, make sure that you have data, make sure that you can show proof of concept, make sure that you can show the demand, make sure that you can show that you have the business acumen that is required in order to build that business. Start small, whether it's friends and family, you need to string a liquor together, start small. And then once you have proof of concept, the data, the numbers that then basically bolster your argument in order to put forward a really good case for someone who has more capital, then you'll be in a better position to do so. I like how you feed your kids. In the long run, it's best for them. Thank you very much, Turquoise Lover. Well, beautiful. I'm not sure which part. RK, big up yourself, baby. You look like 27, 28. Apparently, I'm old and washed up, babes. This is what old and washed up looks like. These people fighting you could literally be 17-year-olds. That's a weird thing with social media. Social media is a real place. You love yourself, band. Babes, I have to. If I don't, who's not going to? Oh no, Vonnie, I missed your message and you retracted it. What did you say, babes? I love Timeless Fits too. I buy mine always be 100%. Scrolling through because this foo-foo thing scrolled down. Question, do you do remote work? So my money comes from my podcast that is monetized. A little bit of change comes from that. Not a lot, but a little bit of change. I do coaching for other parents and I sell parenting courses. I know everybody's selling courses these days, but my courses, babes, they're actually good, okay? And so yeah, that's where I get my income from. Very little comes from social media. Somebody messaged me the other day. They were like, she's a twin mother. She wants to quit her job to stay at home with her children. And she wants my advice on how to use social media to make money. Just to be clear, the money that I make from social media could never sustain anybody's life. I have not cracked the code. I've managed to build a following, a little bit of a following on here and Instagram. It's about 270,000. And yeah, I haven't cracked the code on how you turn that into money. I've cracked the code in turning it into like free food and some hotel stays. But again, not enough to sustain your life. Thank you very much, Marcia. Big up yourself, baby. What's your take on wearing bikinis on the beach in front of your children? I don't have an issue with people wearing bikinis in the beach in front of children. I think it's a little bit weird with the thong bikini. But again, I think it's weird because I'm an adult. I don't think children think it's weird. I think that we need to kind of get away from the over sexualization of the human form. And it's a really fine line because, on the one hand, I'm telling you that I like high neck clothes and I don't like when everything is out, right? And on the other hand, I think that there's a balance between children don't see boobs and ass and whatever as sexual things, you know? But I think that there's like a real balance. So, for example, around my children in our house, we are naked most of the time. And it was because I saw a post where these girls were saying it's really easy to see a woman who grew up with a mother who was naked all the time and a woman who grew up with a mother who wasn't. I've been meaning to post about this actually. And because all the women who grew up with a mother who was naked all the time said that they felt really empowered, they felt good about their bodies, they had positive things to say to themselves about their own bodies, right? And from the time I saw that, I was like, well, boy, I'm gonna be naked all the time around my children, even though that's not particularly my style. And the point is, I do that in our home because I want to just reinforce that, you know, all the imperfections, all the things, they're absolutely normal. Having said that, I do think that context matters. But for me, a bikini isn't that deep. But because you're on the beach. If you were walking into a restaurant and you're in a bikini, I would then think, babes, you need to put some clothes on, if that makes sense. Oh, but I'm not down for children wearing bikinis. I know that might be controversial. Someone else said to me, oh, well, I'm sexualizing the child. No, I'm not. I just think that there's a time, there's a place, there's age. I just think these things matters. Issa boy, big up yourself, baby. How are you? How long will they be homeschooled for, and will you be letting them enroll in school at like 6? So I actually went and visited a school in Bali. I need to do an update on that video. So I went to visit a French school in Bali because I was open to the idea that my children would start school in September. The school did not change my life. I didn't think it was particularly revolutionary. I didn't think that the school was going to offer anything that was amazing outside of the French, and so I opted not to send them there. I share that story to say that I am open to schools, but the school must do more than me. And right now, we are thriving with home education. We are thriving with the environments that they're in, with the people that they get to meet, with everything that they're getting to learn. And so I'm not going to just send my kids to school for the sake of it, but I'm definitely open. I'm open to it if the right institution came across. You're here from the UK, babes. Big up yourself. You went to the restaurant, Zoe. Which one? Did you lose the money? No, babe, I didn't lose the money. Love your content. Thank you very much, my darling. My dad is absolutely amazing. He's an amazing human. He must be very proud. I hope so. You know, when we think about like timelines and what success is and what we want to achieve, the only way it's relevant to me is from my dad's perspective. My dad is 76 years old, and I want him to see me have done certain things. You know, gone are the days where I have a timeline for myself. I don't think of life like that anymore. But there are certain things that I would like to have achieved so that my dad can see. So that's the only reason why I think about time. We all need someone to give us a start. This is a reminder to always help people when we can, 100%. Why cooking? Ari, Dixie, what do you mean, babes? Kelly, I love your videos. You hope to have the same parenting in the future, babe. Big up yourself. You wish you could homeschool your daughter. May I ask why you can't homeschool your daughter, and how old is she? How long will they be homeschooled? Oh, we did that question. Oh, the first one in Brixton, Three Little Birds. Thank you for coming, Zoe. Those were the days. Those were the days. Bree, pick up yourself, babes. We're doing really well. Golden Cocoa Puffs. Where did you get the outfit from? The top is from Tory Burch. Years ago, though. Like years ago. Restaurant days years ago. So I'm not sure it's available anymore. Would you walk around naked if you had a boy child? Yes. I don't. Like even kissing children and stuff. This lady had a picture of her kissing her son. Her son looked like he was about 7 or 8. And people in the comments are like, oh, that's, you know, you shouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't kiss your children on the mouth. I'm like, are you crazy? Brother, are you crazy? I kiss my children kiss me everywhere. Everywhere. They kiss my mouth everywhere. And of course, when they get to a certain age, they'll let me know. You know, I remember being young and being like, okay, I don't want to give my dad a kiss on the mouth anymore. And you stop giving your dad a kiss on the mouth. This idea that as adults we must put a timeline on when we can hug and kiss our children and stuff is just weird. Thank you for sharing your life with us. Thank you very much, Phoenix. Pick up yourself. She's 9 and I can't afford to. You know what, babes? I feel you on that. And what I would say is just do the things that you can, right? So, like the weekend vibes that you have, maybe it's weekends that you spend with your child, just make sure that you're supplementing the things that you wish that you could achieve from home education, that you're using that time. To basically supplement. And all schools aren't bad. So again, if you're not happy with your particular school, maybe it's time to look for a different one. But again, just like fill in the blanks or fill in the holes or the questions or the doubts where you can, rather than focusing on the fact that you wish you could homeschool. Because then I feel like you could easily get yourself into a place that is just negative rather than seeing the opportunities. And also be blessed that you have a job that can provide for yourself and your children, because boy, it rough out here in these streets. Why did you give up the restaurant? Oh, very easy. So my first restaurant that I closed was in Clapham, and my landlord after COVID asked me for all of the rent during the lockdown period of COVID. He asked me to pay it within 30 days of reopening, and that was never going to happen. I didn't do takeaway during COVID. I was busy being pregnant. And so that one was very easy to close. The second one in Brixton was a bit harder to close because that was more of my baby. I had relaunched that restaurant from Three Little Birds to Wood and Water, and I really believed in what we are doing on the plate. A lot of times when I see people talking about elevated, and I say elevated with quotes because I think we should be really careful about the fact that making food bougie doesn't necessarily make it above the traditional. But when people say that they are transforming the way that Caribbean food is perceived and is received and how it looks on the plate, I smile, because I do think that I was one of the pioneers in that. And that's not arrogance, it's fact. Even Three Little Birds, you know, it was tapas style, which was the first time it had been done with Caribbean food. And then when I went on to do Wood and Water, again, it was the first kind of vibe. But unfortunately, Brixton became a crack den, and I was the most expensive restaurant in the area, but my surroundings was not matching inside the restaurant, and it was affecting business. And I started to not like coming to my restaurant. I started to have to get my chefs to follow me to my car because I felt unsafe. I started to stop bringing my children to work because I didn't like the area, and I was just like, why am I here? A lot of places around me were closing. I just didn't think that the area was doing very well. And to be honest with you, there's not a day that goes by that I look at the restaurant industry in England and question whether I made the right decision. I 100% made the right decision. I see people trying to lobby for lower VAT for restaurants, for hospitality. I see people just struggling. I see just the energy. I'm like, boy, it was honestly, I'm not trying to SHIT on the UK. Everybody wants different things. Everybody needs different things to feel fulfilled. And ultimately, leaving the UK was the best decision I ever made. Best is the best for my children. I see the way they are growing, who they are becoming, and 100% it was the best thing for me. I'm not saying that it does not have a place for other people. I'm just saying where I am, my journey, my life, the things that I value. We left Bali and I went to my satay lady. So this is like roadside food, right? She just makes the satay on the barbecue. So I went to her, and normally when I leave Bali, I know when I'm coming back, right? So I usually go to her and I say, oh, we'll be back, in a month or whatever. And on this occasion, I had to say to her that I don't think we'll be back for like 6 months, if not longer. And she cried. My satay lady hugged my children. She showed me the goosebumps on her arm and started crying. And when I tell you that that is just pure connection, and that is the humanity, the level of humanity that I enjoy being around. For some people, if you grow up in London, you probably don't care that much about like connecting with the satay lady on the side of the street. But growing up in a place like Jamaica, that's what I'm used to. And so to be in those settings where the surroundings are basically feeding the energy that I need to feel good, that is where I need to be. And ultimately, London is not that. And it's never going to be that. True, restaurants are really expensive now in London. I mean, everything is expensive, babes. Brixton has definitely changed. What's your take on people in high professions, ex-politicians? I'm laughing because someone in particular comes to mind, and all I will say is that I have screenshot the like seeing when people in certain professions are showing up on the internet in certain ways, and I have a Jamaica fam chat, and I send it to the Jamaica fam chat, and I ask, what is going on? Am I confused? Right? And I believe it or not, as judgmental, open-minded I am, I like to ask questions. And you know what? I don't knock the game. People need to do what they need to do based on their goal. All I'm saying is that one day I could potentially be Prime Minister of Jamaica. Who knows? Okay. And if I was, I would not turn up on the internet half dressed. Again, a bikini at an appropriate bikini environment, like, okay, you're at the beach, okay, cool. But I've seen certain types of content where people are like getting ready in their room and then pum pum nearly fall out of the clothes. And I'm just like, I don't, again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just telling you that my visceral like feeling, my immediate thought is, oh, is this okay? Again, to each his own, babes. Do you? Would you ever go back to Jamaica or London to live? Jamaica, 100%. That is the goal. I hope to be living in Jamaica sooner rather than later. But I don't know how. I haven't figured out the how. But yes, I do want to go to Jamaica. And I do think that my children have to live in Jamaica to be Jamaican. Controversially, I know that a lot of people like to gatekeep Jamaican citizenship or the right to claim your Jamaicanness. For some people, if you are not born in Jamaica, you cannot be Jamaican. I was not born in Jamaica, so by that definition, I am apparently not allowed to be Jamaican. Some people believe that as long as your parents are Jamaican, then that's fine. I believe that yes, your parents must be Jamaican, but I believe that to truly be Jamaican, you have to live in Jamaica for a period of time in your life. Like, because I can tell my children all of the stories, I can instill Jamaican culture in them with food, with their affirmations, with the fact that I wear a Jamaican pendant every day, with the fact that my nails are Jamaican, with the fact that we talk about Jamaica, they learn patois, like all of the things. But ultimately, that is still from my perspective. Like the Jamaican culture that they receive is from me. Okay, and I believe that for you to truly be Jamaican, you need to have your own stories. You need to have your own memories of when you did drop out of a tree. You need to have your own, like, just not mother told stories of your time going rafting or jumping off, I don't know, some cliff. Like, you need your own Jamaican experience to be able to claim being Jamaican. And for that reason, it is so important to me that my children spend their formative years based in Jamaica. It is important to me also that they have access and appreciation of the world and to really be global citizens in that sense. But a core part of their childhood has to happen in Jamaica for them to be Jamaican. Oh, we're still talking about the top. Top is Tory Burch. Oh, we did that. You love when you say babes. Ah, scrolling through. Scrolling, it did the thing. Gone. I don't know. Wait, gone. You remember having delicious carrot cake? I'm not gonna lie, babes. My carrot cake is banging. Okay? My carrot cake. Before I left England, I was going to start selling the carrot cake, as in shipping it and selling it. I had done some test batches, so I was going to sell it cake separate and then like the frosting in your own piping bag. So all you needed to do was pipe it to finish it. But then I left the country, babes. The carrot cake is banging. My mom was just as intentional with what I eat, and I thank her for that. Esmal, big up your mommy. Big her up. I met a lady recently who's homeschooling her 4 children. Big respect to her. Also Jamaican. 100% big respect to her. Where is she based, babes? Yes to going to Jamaica. You think that Brixton has changed in recent years, probably for the better. I'm not sure when last you went to Brixton, but I would say, so I was operating for 10 years, and I would say for me, there's a very big difference between Brixton pre-COVID and Brixton post-COVID. I'm not sure if you're referring to Brixton post-COVID. LE, April, my darling dearest. I love you, sis. Your vibe is immaculate. Greetings from Guyana. Big up yourself, babes, every time. Water to go. How are you, my darling? Will you open a restaurant in Jamaica? Never. I'm not opening a restaurant in Jamaica. I also just don't think that the young people of today are ready to work in the way that hospitality requires. I did a post talking about the fact that hospitality is not for work-life balance, and everybody went crazy. I'm just like, the work ethic is not what I'm used to. And so, no, I don't want a physical business ever again. I don't think. Like, I love going to restaurants. I love going to cafes. I see places and I'm like, ooh, I could so recreate something and be inspired. And but yeah, excuse me, I don't think I'll be doing a physical bricks and mortar restaurant ever again. Also, I just don't want lots of staff. When I was younger, my dad used to have like over 100 members of staff, and that was my dream, right? Like, success looked like a big office building because that's what he had. It looked like lots of staff because that's what he had. And as times have changed and like work culture has changed, I'm like, babes, I just want me, my assistant, a few editors, a few people like doing individual things to kind of help the machine, but I don't need to hire like loads of people anymore to feel like I'm running a successful business. You have to go now. Just wanted you to know you're amazing. Thank you very much, Vonnie. Big up yourself, babes, and thanks for joining the live. Um, you sell cookbooks? No, but I do have a new cookbook agent based out of America. So just fingers crossed, okay, that it's gonna happen. But it's a slow process. Publishing is like 2 years. You have to go, Zara. Big up yourself, baby. You'll come back to rewatch. Um, where are we at? Hey, I've been on live, babe. Usually every weekend. How are you, my darling? Scrolling through. Ah, is your sister May or June? No, but I do have a friend whose name is April, spelled with a Y. Her surname is July. She's born in August, and her parents said that they wanted to have April, May, June, but they then had two boys, so it didn't work out for them. You are moving to Jamaica with your baby? Baby girl! Do we know when this is happening? Honestly. Please make the carrot cake. The carrot cake was so good. It was so moist. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was so moist. If you were to put your kids in school, would you vaccinate them? What kind of vaccinations are you talking about? Um, and also, I nearly forgot that I don't talk about vaccinations. I did a video. I was like, I'm not talking about vaccinations online. I just think it's a dangerous space, and I'm not equipped enough to fully guide people. Food, babes, I can talk to you about food, I can talk to you about parenting, but I'm not comfortable telling you about vaccinations. How am I? I'm doing well, I'm just tired. Hey Sheena, big up yourself, babes. Sammy, I'm Jamaican all day, every day, but I don't blame you if you couldn't figure it out. My accent is very, very bizarre. Um, Scrolling through, you're in Brixton quite regularly. You drive Uber. Don't want to big up yourself. And you don't think that Brixton has changed post-COVID, babes? Are you sure? Cold Harbour Lane specifically has very much changed, in my opinion. But always happy to agree to disagree, babes. Still curious to know, why did you enter the restaurant business? Okay, great question. So um, apparently, my friends tell me that I always said I'd have a restaurant. I've always loved food. I still love food. I love eating out. Restaurants are my happy place. My parents were both workaholics, and I just felt that the restaurant was a space where it was like happy. The food tasted good, the vibe was good, it was positive memories, family vibes. And I then feel like a part of my mission in life is to really bring Jamaica to other places. So bring like Jamaican positive vibe to other places. And I felt like I could do that through food. When I came to the UK, as in came back to the UK, I found that the representation of Jamaican food was very much takeaway. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with takeaway. I was just saying that I wanted us to basically have takeaways, have, fine dining and everything in between. And I also just wanted to show that although I called my restaurant Three Little Birds because, yes, big respect to Bob Marley every time, I just didn't think that he needed to be on every wall of every restaurant. I didn't think that every restaurant had to have corrugated iron, or as we would say, zinc on the wall. I didn't think that we needed to just be putting out the stereotypes. I wanted to be able to kind of broaden the spectrum of what people thought of when they thought of Jamaican culture. And that's why I chose to get into the restaurant business. Chikori, babes, how are you, my darling? Thank you for being so lovely. Coconut, I can barely survive by myself and my picking them. There's no room for adoptions. Aaliyah, big up yourself, baby. I understand. Wishing you all the best. You got it done. Looking forward to it. Thank you. I understand and respect that the topic is touchy. Don't worry, babes. In August, babes, my husband and her grandparents are definitely excited. I'm excited for you. August is around the corner. Oh my goodness. I aspire to be like you so much, and I'm still trying to instill some of your parenting with my 3-year-old. Babes, big up yourself. Thank you for being so kind. What countries in Africa have you visited? I have only visited South Africa 2 times, and I have been to Morocco, which doesn't count because they don't think that they are African. Would you do a coffee shop? Destiny, why do you want me to open up a place of hospitality? Who taught me to cook? No one. I don't have a beautiful grandmother story. My grandmother wasn't very nice. My parents weren't into cooking. I always had a helper. My dad can cook like 3 things really well. Bless him. He does steamed fish, amazing. He also does beans, as in like British beans, but he makes them vibesy. He brings Jamaican spice, like a Scotch bonnet, thyme. I love the way my dad cooks beans. But I wouldn't say he's a great cook. I don't think he would say he's a great cook, but he can do a few things very, very well. In terms of why or how I got into cooking, basically my helper used to make the same thing all the time. I got tired of eating chicken because that's all she ever cooked, and so I would just try and recreate food that I had eaten elsewhere at home. And it turns out, I guess I can cook because people thankfully wanted to pay for it. What do you think of jam infusion foods when representing Jamaican food? I have no issue with fusion. I have a issue when people try and present things as traditional when they're not. I have a really big issue when people constantly put jerk chicken on their menu and you do not have any pimento wood. And no, pan chicken and jerk chicken is not the same thing. So those things I have an issue with. But apart from that, I think fusion can be a really nice way to explore your own creativity, but also to expose consumers to things that they may not have tried otherwise. Love you from Barbados. Big up yourself, Coconut. Would you do a ghost kitchen? No, not in Jamaica. What do you think of? I love harissa. I love harissa. I have like a roasted cauliflower where I make this harissa marinade. Love it. Lee, thank you very much, babes. I don't know if it's Lee or Le. I don't know, c'est français, c'est Le ou L-E, je ne sais pas. Do you have a favorite cuisine? 100% Jamaican food all day, every day, babes. Aside from that, probably Italian. Oh no, lie. Jamaican, Balinese or Indonesian food, and then Italian. Thank you for being so real about grandma. I feel like me alone said mine was very nice. Davina, babe, you know that I'll always tell the truth. Because your aura is so beautiful, you have to be in that space. We need people like you in hospitality. Honestly, I love hospitality. I love hospitality for sharing good vibes. I love hospitality for forcing me to put my own issues at the door to provide my guests with an experience. I love hospitality for allowing people to escape. I do love hospitality. And maybe, the universe will bring me a way to operate in hospitality without having my own place. Because I think that would be like the best of all the worlds. Hey, I've noticed your girls speak French. How did you teach them? So I only speak French to my children. So that was their first language and that's how they learn. We play audiobooks in French. We read a lot of French books together. Even some of their workbooks, I've managed to order some that are in French. So I make sure that they are surrounded as much as possible with French. I used to have au pairs and that would obviously be a great asset. And since we've been traveling, I don't have them. But that definitely helped in the early years. Babes, water to go. Big up yourself, my darling. If it's not my favorite person on live, Bria, thank you very much for being so kind. Have you ever tried fried mushrooms? Of course I've tried fried mushrooms. Is that code for something else? So I used to have a dish on my menu that was fried enoki mushrooms. So I used to coat them first in orange juice and then a coating predominantly with corn flour and some spices. And the mushrooms just blossom. They like bloom in the fryer. And then I used to serve it with escovitch pickles. So the same kind of escovitch that you put on the fish, I'd put it on the mushrooms. Trust me, babes, the fried mushrooms, the escovitch, it's giving vegan vibes, okay? And then I used to serve it with an emulsion and the emulsion was made from butterbean, and then I made this parsley and chive oil just to give those little dots. It was vibrant, it was gorgeous, it was everything. For so many people, it was one of their favorite dishes, and they're not even vegetarian or vegan. It was just so good. Toon, thank you very much, my darling. Did you teach yourself French or did you do it in school? So I did French when I was in A levels. I got an A in A level French, and then I went to France when I was 17 and I couldn't speak French. I was like, why do I have an A in French but can't speak? And it was because the way they teach French in schools, just or languages in general, just doesn't make sense. You're not learning enough about the things that you're actually going to speak about, right? I remember doing like the ozone layer and pollution and the greenhouse effect for weeks. How many times do you talk about that even in English? So I then obviously didn't speak French, not obviously, but I didn't speak French after I was an au pair in France at 17 for 6 months. I didn't speak French again for about, I want to say 14 years. And then I taught myself French, basically, so that I could speak French to my children. I went to Tunisia recently and picked up harissa as it's from there. Not sure what to cook with it. Babe, I love harissa. I love harissa. I have harissa wings. Yeah, just mix it up in your sauces. Even if you're doing like a nice pasta, just dash a little harissa in there. It just brings like earthy spice to tomato-based things. Some prawns, some harissa prawns. Babes, don't overthink it. Honestly, just make the marinades that you would normally make that might be like tomato-based and just add some harissa in. There's no high-end Jamaican restaurant selling Jamaican food in Jamaica. I have an issue with restaurants in Jamaica in general. I just don't think they're that good. When people come and visit me in Jamaica, it's roadside food all day. Pronounced Lee, short for Leanne. Big up yourself, baby. We have one. You have a Jamaican restaurant in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans love Jamaica. I mean, let's be honest, babe. The world loves Jamaica. Seeing that you love hospitality and food, would you open a boutique hotel? I would love a boutique hotel. I would love a boutique hotel. You know, maybe when like I'm a little bit more stable, I would love a boutique hotel. It would be so lovely. S and I, big up yourself, baby. How are you? Can your kids speak English as well? Yes, they speak English. Is it a vegan restaurant? As in, was my restaurant vegan? No, I just happen to believe that all food should be good, regardless of whether it was vegan or had meat. I think that sometimes chefs come with this idea that if a dish doesn't have meat in it, then oh gosh, it's just so not good enough. No, you can do amazing things with vegetables. Good day, Max Payne. How are you? Jatrudes, how are you, baby? This is why I want to homeschool my 19-month-old. I'm not sure what I said, but I'm glad that it resonated. Are you moving away from Southeast Asia? No. Yes, I am starting to make my move away from Southeast Asia. Can we get a sneak peek of any upcoming countries? All I will tell you is that I have booked a flight to Jamaica, but I won't tell you when. Okay, you know that I love you guys, but the internet is also a crazy place. So I like to make sure that I'm doing all of my posts when I'm not currently in the country. And although on lives, I tell you guys where I am, I try and still do so with caution, sorry. And I'm not saying you're crazy. Let's be clear. I'm just saying the internet is crazy and we have to be careful. Okay, Bobs? Did you go to high school in Jamaica? Yes, my darling. I went to preschool. I went to Learning Tree. Prep school. I went to Hillel. Then I went to Campion for 1 term. It never worked out. Then I went to boarding school in the UK for 6 months. And then I came back to Hillel and I graduated from Hillel. I'm glad that you have to. Oh, Japan. I'd love to come to Japan. Is that where you are? I'd love to come to Japan. It's on the list, babes. But yeah, I won't be making it to Japan this year. I thought I didn't like Filipino food. Are you shocked that I said that? I really thought that I didn't like Filipino food. I cannot wait to come home. Honestly, I'm so eager to come home. You've been watching for some time now. What advice would you give to a young girl? Random question, babe. That question is so broad. And the only thing that I would tell you is that you must remember that life is for living, okay? Life is for living. Do the things that you want to do. And don't worry too much about what other people think, please. Just also give yourself time to even find out what you like and don't like. I think it's so easy for so many people to kind of just move through the world and not even realize who they are, what they like, and have the confidence to stand on that. So my biggest piece of advice is to honestly live a full life. If I drop down tomorrow, even though I am always, wanting more, wanting to do more, I never feel like I'm enough, all of those things. One thing I can say is that if I drop down tomorrow and you look back on my life that I have lived, babes, I've done some things. Okay, I've done some things. And for that reason, I am very, very grateful. I was shocked when he said this because adobo is literally stew pork. They do cassava cake. Babe, the Filipino food that I had in London was never flavorful. It just wasn't flavorful. Like, I'd have lechon, and yes, it was cooked to perfection in terms of texture, but there was no flavor. And I thought that was just Filipino food. And then I get to the Philippines, I'm like, oh, this is where the flavor's at. Would you let your kids do boarding school at Institut Le Rosy? Again, I'm open to these things, but it's not something that I am, looking to, if that makes sense. It's good to see your cloud has lifted and you're sparkling again. Thank you very much, Zara. Big up yourself, babes. Oh, Dane, thank you, my darling. What is TYSM? Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, babes, at all. It took me a while. I was like, what? I do know this. How have you found teaching your children 2 languages? My brain is always tired, but the children are magical. They just soak up absolutely everything. And it's another reminder that adults are always the problem. We resist change like nobody's business, and children are just amazing. On that note, lovely people, where I am, it is 1:45 in the morning. As I said to you, I'm always tired, and this is part of the reason why. But as always, thank you so much for sharing this time with me, sharing a little piece of your Saturday with me, and I will jump on again around the same time tomorrow. If your Saturday is just starting, big up yourself. If it is just finishing, I hope you've had an amazing one, and I will speak with you again very, very soon. And just remember, one life. I know it's cliche, but honestly, we only have one. Okay, so live it to the fullest. Thank you very much.